Welcome home, brave heroes. I'm Ash, this is HeroQuest, and today I'm doing the unthinkable. Actually, the rather predictable. I'm going to be showcasing another 7 things from my local Dollar Tree, as well as some stores beyond, maybe. And this time, I'm going to start off with the Wild Creatures pack. I did it. I went and I attained the Wild Animals pack. This time, this is a 16-piece pack of animals that are roughly the same scale as the farm animals. You get a little bit more content here. I don't know how much of it will be usable to you, but again, we have pairs of animals, distinctly different varieties. Some are smaller than they should be for this fantasy world. They're smaller than they should be for real world applications. And then some of them are comically larger. So when I say similar scale, I mean that's for the ones that are usable. I don't know how usable all these will be to you, but we're going to work through some examples as to how you could use these in your game. And no, they're not going to be all friends nor enemies. I have a couple of other ideas for them as well. This time around, we get elephants, we get hippopotami, we get apes, we get rhinoceroses, giraffes, we get tigers, lions, and monkeys. Oh my. This is one of the oversights that I wish they're just kids' toys. They're just kids' toys, Ash. Don't worry about it. Yay, some of them are quite a bit smaller than you might imagine, but still quite usable. This hippopotamus is pretty small, and this is the only animal that has the company text embedded onto its side, but to keep the immersion, we'll always have him facing to the left. But the other animals, like the big cats, such as this lion, are a great size for use in your game. And if it's any consolation, the smaller animals, the ones that are just impractically small, you can call them cubs or calves, the child version of that animal. I don't know what we're going to do with the monkeys. I'm just going to toss them. I'm not going to use those. But all right, there are some breeds and varieties of ape that are actually this size realistically in scale with humans, so this should be fine. Anyway, the ones that need to take up more than one space on your board should take up more than one space, and the ones that shouldn't will take up 2. The giraffes immediately want to fall over, but it's okay. I don't need to use them for the time being. It's just really the tiger, the lion, the rhino, the ape. These are the ones I'm primarily concerned with. And these, my friends, I want to use as druid forms. Now, it can be really nice to have multiple druids, especially with the release of Against the Ogre Horde and having different druid sculpts that will be available to a lot of us. And being able to distinguish these druid sculpts with a variety of different animals that you can very cheaply obtain at your local dungeon tree. A name suggestion given by one of my very kind viewers, Discord community members. I forget which one, I am so sorry. Please name yourself in the comments below. But you can also use these animals to have different versions of your same druid. How does that make sense? Well, depending on which animal form the druid wants to take, that is where their overlay stats will be. In other words, if the druid unlocks and then chooses to use the rhino form, this is a hippo, Ash, the rhino form, then they'll move slower, although I hear rhinos are a lot faster than they appear, but they'll have really high defense dice. I wouldn't up the attack too much. You could be gored by a rhinoceros. I mean, all of these animals are dangerous. There's no arguing that whatsoever. But for mechanical purposes and practicality, we should give some consideration to the types of stats you have in HeroQuest and allow one of the animal forms to have higher defense, which I would say should be the rhino, higher attack, which I would say could be the lion or tiger, and then higher movement, which I would say would be the ape. All of these animals are without a doubt super dangerous and could be very hard for, say, an orc or goblin to mitigate, but just giving them different kinds of stats and giving them different increases could be something that could be a lot of fun and add for a little bit more strategy. In addition to that, you could definitely prime these and paint them the lovely heroic red that we know our Avalon Hill HeroQuest miniatures to be. But you could also have these be unlockables. So if you complete a specific dungeon and you rescue the ape, for example, now the druid will commune with the ape. They will become the ape, literally. And now you have the ape transformation. The druid player will now be able to test that out in future quests. Just something that I thought was a lot of fun and adds to my miniature animal collection that's probably all gonna go to my nephew after I pick through it. All right, we've covered dragons, we've covered dinosaurs, we've covered farm animals, we've covered wild animals. What's next? And thing number 2, it's the timer. Yeah, they have sand timers at your local dungeon tree. I don't know if you knew that. This is a 2-minute timer. It's the only color that I saw. We'll go ahead and unbox it for the unboxing's sake, and then we'll talk about the thing after that in the time that it takes this sand to flow, which actually the sand's not flowing. The sand had trouble flowing. There was some stoppage. That could be problematic. I don't know if we should trust it. We'll go ahead and try it out though. We're going to flip it, give ourselves 2 minutes, and talk about the next thing. Actually, I'll give myself a couple of minutes to talk about this timer. I think that it would be pretty useful to have a timer in some events. You could actually hurry things along by having a timer. When the timer elapses, that's when you play a chaos event card or something from the Dreadening deck or something else that gives Zargon a bit more of an edge. The more the heroes lollygag, the more the heroes run around a dungeon looking for traps and treasure ahead of time to make themselves the safest they can be, never mind the threat of the wandering monster. This is the sort of thing that will push them into being more active and getting done with things quicker. Now, while that timer is still going, thing number 3, it is foam dry erase block. This is something I thought was really, really interesting. It's just a foam block. It's as inexpensive and as cheap as you can think of. And there are dry erase stickers affixed to it. That's it. Minimal squishing. Very, very large. Impractically so. Probably not something you're going to spend a lot of time wanting to roll at your HeroQuest table. However, this dry erase aspect makes the idea appealing. You could definitely take some dry erase markers and you could color in stuff on the 6 sides or leave it blank, and the heroes could unlock features to place on this cube and perhaps roll it in specific situations or say once per quest. In one quest, I'd like there to be 6 keys and a special door. Every time the hero finds a key, you will draw a key on this cube, but you can only attempt to open the door once. So while the looming threat of monsters is ever present and grows with each passing turn, perhaps by facilitation of the sand timer, the heroes are exploring and either pushing their luck by going to open the door with the few keys that they have, or they collect all 6 and then they have a guaranteed door opening. And my time just ran out in the sand timer. So that tells you how useful this could be for certain things. 2 minutes is certainly enough time to get some heroes moving. Maybe not all 4, maybe not every single round, but certainly an element. And at the very least, you could take this, put it at your table without any explanation whatsoever, flip it, and let it go while you wait on them. They'll never know why you did it. They'll never know what's coming, even if nothing's coming at all. Wordlessly, when the timer completes, you take it, you make a mark on a notepad, and you flip it back over, and you watch them. You watch their reactions, and you refuse to answer their questions. In another quest, every time this sand timer goes down, you, Zargon, take this foam block and you place a symbol of dread on one of the faces. Now, every time the heroes run into a monster, in addition to rolling its own defense dice, or perhaps only this die, it will roll this die and its face will determine the fate of that monster. Perhaps it is a counterattack dice. Perhaps the more time the heroes are allowing the monsters in the dungeon to train or prepare, the more dangerous they become, obviously. And when this thing has all 6 sides filled up, every single monster is going to be very, very dangerous to the heroes. So, with that said and done, thing number 4, Decor. Normally I would have a whole video devoted to this sort of thing. These are just unnamed decor. I believe I got these at Dollar Tree. When I saw these, I thought they're probably meant to represent cherries or perhaps apples or some other kind of fruit, something that's really easy to paint and use in your decorations. This is one of those I didn't get actually at Hobby Lobby, but I think Hobby Lobby has a version of these that you can purchase for the same purpose. But to me, these are, you paint them black and now they're bombs. They're giant bombs. They have wicks and they have the bodies of the bomb. It's just your classic sphere, bowling ball with a white string coming out. And you can use these in your dungeon rooms after you've got them all prettied up and better looking than mine. Your heroes can attack them, perhaps physically, perhaps ranged, perhaps with a magic spell of some sort. But when they do, the wick lights And now you've got exactly 1 round before this thing explodes. And what's the explosion going to cause? That's up to you, Zargon. In a quest that I would like to make, the bomb could be pushed, just like the urns, pots, boxes, crates, etc. in previous videos where I talk about wooden objects like this on your board. And when you push it up against a wall and then strike it, that wick's going to light and cause a door to appear by virtue of the explosion, destroying the wall. In another example, you can actually push this up into the corner, and when you do so, whoops, we've got 2 doors that could appear now on either side of where the bomb once was, representing this explosion really taking out 2 portions of the wall. You could have the bomb blast be a radius of 3 squares, and now it's going to affect 3 squares all around, and everything in that 1 square radius, really, I should say, orthogonally and diagonally. My timer ran out. I'm obsessed with having this running now. And line of sight is now established and access to a new portion of the dungeon. Sometimes this isn't going to matter based on where the heroes put it. You should always be very cognizant of where this would be allowed to explode, what kind of limitations this has in terms of where it can be pushed, so that the heroes don't push it to a place where there's a point of no return. Perhaps you could have it to where if the heroes do try to get creative or tricky and they push it somewhere it's not supposed to go, it will be a dud. At that point, you'll take it off the board and place a bomb right back in the room where it spawned originally. Now the heroes get to try again. It's a little bit of guesswork, but in conjunction with the sand timer and the dry erase block, you are now able to come up with a whole system of dungeon exploration heretofore not present in HeroQuest. Enough about these cherry bombs. It's time to move on to the next thing, which is thing number 5, and that is these do-it-yourself wooden dice. I don't have a lot to say about these. They're large. I don't know how practical they will be at your table, but you can use them just like the dry erase block. Instead of being something that is changeable quest by quest, these are permanent. So either you can make extra large attack dice for that fateful final encounter with Zargon, and they're going to have skulls on every side. It's skulls on every side or black shields on every side, so that no matter what you roll, the rolling is really just for ritual's sake. The rolling does nothing. You're always going to roll 2 skulls and a black shield, or 2 black shields and a skull, whatever you want to say. So his attacks are fixed. Or these could be dice, and notice they are beveled. This is primarily why I picked them up. I didn't want to just grab straight edge cubes. These were beveled, and they had the classic wooden feel and look of the HeroQuest 1989 version dice. I had to have these, and I think what I'm going to do is just create a replica of the combat dice. I'll paint them white, and I'll etch in the features of the skulls and the shields and the black shields. That's what I really want to do with them, I think. But you could take dice like these, and yes, the extra large faces are kind of necessary for this purpose, and have the heroes fill in whatever symbol they want on the face once they've earned the right to do so. And they can earn this right up to 6 times per campaign. Perhaps you have multiple dice, and so they can earn this right up to 18 times, 1 per die face. And when they roll these dice, they are rolling for a chance to get a certain configuration, a certain combination of symbols. Could these be attack symbols? Could these be regenerative to the wizard or druid or warlock or bard or knight, so that they get their skills back? Are these dice allowing them to counterattack a monster? These are all different skills that you could have them purchase, and then you could have them right on the die face permanently. So there's no backsies. You could, of course, buy multiple foam blocks if you wanted them to be able to erase old skills, but that's something that I would charge money for as a vendor in the world of HeroQuest. Enough about that. It's time for the next thing. And the next thing is this almost perennial fairy garden figurines. You almost see these year round, but they're around Dollar Tree, Dungeon Tree right now. A lot of them are kind of, they're very targeted. They're very niche. They're very, okay, that's not going to go with my game at all. But there are some of them that could go with your game. We have a mushroom house here. We have a beehive. We have a tree with a windmill on it. We have a sort of tree that is getting ready to turn into a wonderful large flower. And then we have this tree with a face on it. These kinds of figurines are very popular here. They are constantly coming out with new ones, and they almost always come in these packages of many, several at a time. Now, it's all fairy core stuff. I'm sure that's a word that it exists. And so it's going to be pretty specific in terms of aesthetic and design. Are your heroes going to like it? I don't know. What are you going to use these for? I don't really know. I'm thinking dungeon dressing for the smaller things, but these could also be introductions to sort of side quests that are just there for flavor in the game system. You could take these and put them in any existing quest. And if the heroes come across this, then they're able to take honey from it, roll a die, and if you land on a particular face, then the hero is able to extract some honey, which could be used, obviously, as a healing agent. Or you could have this one appear elsewhere in the dungeon as well. And if the honey is consumable, then that's great. The hero will have the option to use it, but if they use it, they'll lose it. A creature of some kind could come out of this one and ask for some honey. If you deliver the honey, give up the honey item, then that will result in some kind of reward, perhaps a gold reward, or perhaps a more effective potion that could give you a lot more body points. This tree with the face is something that could cause a calming, relaxing aura to all of the heroes who find it and stand near it for one turn. The tree could be attacked by monsters and therefore gotten rid of if the heroes allow that sort of behavior, or it could just be a healing item sort of that is used once per quest. The heroes get around it, they're able to heal up to a certain amount of body points. Perhaps that's something you roll for, and whoops, yeah, that could happen. And then that's your Fountain of Youth, but themed and very, very affordable, very cheap. And if you decide you don't want these, you can always just give them to your local thrift store. They'll find a new home. They'll find a home where someone can appreciate their aesthetic. Okay, and the final thing that I will show off for this video are actually kind of related to the figurines. They are miniature houses. I have hung on to these for the better part of a year and a half because I wanted to make a sort of scenario in which you would have these houses set up all along the board, and I was going to buy several more of them. You would have a proper village. I may still do this, but if I do this, it's going to require a lot more of these, a lot more variety, and we're going to have to prime these and paint them. And so the village mechanics, instead of taking place in settlement rules, a la Warhammer Quest 1995, it will be more direct. You'll have a way to generate the houses, place them onto the board, give each house a specific use, probably leave out several of them so that your different settlements, towns, and villages will have certain features but lack other features, and you'll give your heroes an adventure. Sometimes this adventure could be running through the streets trying to clear the town of monsters, in which case it's just a very flavorful campaign quest, one that doesn't have a whole lot of doors involved. Or we could be looking at quests where the heroes get access to the backyards of these places in order to clear the monsters that are attacking the houses. And if you paint these up, as long as they're a pretty decent scale, consistent scale, I think that the suspension of disbelief will take hold. And although your heroes and the sizes of the houses aren't going to mesh exactly well, the consistent style will remind them, hey, you're in a city and I'm just not using a smaller miniature hero. Your heroes are still in relatively the same amount of space. The alleyways are kind of like streets. It just is what it is for this situation. But I really think it won't be a big deal. It won't be judged too harshly. And you don't have to go and keep all of the themes of the houses, and this is a Christmas house, obviously, so the wreath is here, but you could change this to something that's not so Christmas-like, and it doesn't have to be a cobblestone candy store. This could easily be the alchemist's shop. This is going to be a golden ring, and then you can have petals surrounding a ruby center. And then, yeah, now you have a brick house that represents an atelier. That's thing number 7. I hope that you'll become a patron so that I can do more of these videos and not file for bankruptcy. Seriously, when every single one of these costs $1.25, and I have up to easily 18 more just to be able to make them all happen on this same board. That's a good chunk of change right there. But I need to give you a warning. If you're going to collect these, beware, because this is going to be a lot of primer, a lot of paint, some time, and most importantly, they're going to take up some space. And it's really, really easy to get into a mindset where you visit a thrift store or a dungeon tree and you're looking around and you see these and you start looking at them with an eye of, I can change that. I can fix him. And you buy them up, and there's never just one. There's always like 5 or 6 different varieties all there. So you think, I'll just go ahead and buy them all. And you take them home, and before you know it, you have a ton of miniature houses. And your significant other is like, man, I didn't know that you were the kind who collected the miniature houses for the Christmas dioramas. And you're like, I totally know. That's exactly why I bought these. So this is the house of corn. This is the house of Zinch. This is the house of... You get what I mean. That is all for this episode, Brave Heroes. Please let me know, A, what you thought of this series, this specific video, B, what you think of this series as a whole, and C, if you would like for me to hang on to these and do the village quest. I have a lot of quest projects, so I can't make any guarantees on to when this would happen. But if you want me to do it, if you're looking forward to it, I can keep an eye out for more of these. I can pick them up. I don't even have to keep an eye out. They're out there. And I can slowly collect them, prime them, and give them little painted details so that I can make a village quest system and a whole campaign that has these village quests intertwined between them. Let me know. Let me know. Thank you so much for watching and for all of your support, and I will see you in the next video. Until then, have a fantastic rest of your day, and bye for now.